going to be a tough match for her. She's done well throughout the tournament so far, but she's really up against an opponent that she knows can hurt her with the slice backhand and the excessive topspin on the forehand. I think she'll just be trying to keep calm and focus on what she has to do rather than worrying about Sabatini.
Do you think Gabby will be going out there with a certain game plan against Graf? I mean, she hasn't won for such a long time. Since 1992 was the last time she beat her. Last time they played, she got one game at the French Open. She has to try something different today, surely. I'm
sure she will have discussed it with her coach, and I'm sure she will have definitely worked out some sort of strategy to beat Graf, and it'll be interesting to see if it's something obvious that we can pick up while we're watching. But I'm sure she'll have some sort of ideas of what she's going to do to break Steffi down and really win the match.
Steffi has worked with Heinz Gunther for a long time, hasn't she? Is that important to have somebody there that you think that's played at that level before to guide her through what she's obviously been going through in the last few weeks?
Oh, definitely, because with somebody that's already experienced life on the circuit and played to a high level, they can relate to how you're feeling and how you're going to react in certain situations. And I think he's been very supportive of her, and I think he's done her a lot of good.
And Sabatini's coach, I mean, she's been through, what, 5 or 6 different coaches. Do you think she's found the right one now?
Well, I think Juan's on his second time round with her, isn't he? He stopped working with her for a while and then they started again. But definitely I think he's helped her a lot since he started working with her. And I'm sure he will have helped her work out a good strategy to beat Graf today.
Do you think maybe we'll see Steffi putting a lot of pressure on the Sabatini serve? For me, that is her weakness. That's where she's more fallible than anywhere else. When it gets tight, she tends to put in a lot of double fault. Do you think we'll see Graf maybe taking a few steps inside the court?
I think you'll definitely be seeing that. As you say, Sabatini's serve is one of her weaknesses, although she has been working on it, and I think it's improved since this time last year, but it still needs a lot more work and a lot more power.
In 1992, her name was added to a very short list of presidents, queens, and other luminaries to have been honored with a rose named in their honor. She also was the first tennis player to ever have a doll produced in her likeness.
And only one title this year for Gabby.
That's right, Sydney earlier in the year, but that was a back-to-back title because in '94 she won the Virginia Slims at the end of the season.
Okay, right, we're going to be back on Sky Sports 2 in about 3 minutes' time. Don't go away. And Jerry Williams.
Thanks very much. Good morning. It's, I know it's the afternoon to you, but it's midday. It's 1 o'clock here, lunchtime, late lunchtime. And perhaps the fall has fallen here because for the first time it's not only cool, but there is unbroken cloud above. It's breezy. I would have thought, we'll hear what Barbara says about that in a moment, I would have thought that could trouble Steffi Graf. Anyway, here's the start of the semi-final. In the umpire's chair, neutral from Australia, Donna Butler. Sabatini, you won't be surprised to hear, won the toss and elected to receive.
Yeah, it's pretty swirling wind here today, Jerry, and it was last night. That may have explained some of the Chang unforced errors against Courier. Maybe today not quite such pinpoint tennis either.
Promising. I always think it's promising when Sabatini goes to the net.
Well, that's storming. Accurate as could be. Gabby's got to come to net a lot more than the average of 9 times a match. Gabby came in 14 times against Mary Jo Fernandez, but as I say, the average is about 9 times a match. That's not going to be good enough to beat Steffi.
A secure look to Graf from the back of the court. That, I think, is important. It all goes well for her. 1-love, she leads at the start. Now, Barbara Potter, whose diligence is becoming notorious, has worked out an analysis by which Sabatini could win this match. It quite surprised me that. As soon as possible, when there's a gap between points, I'll get her to spell that one out. Now, where is that breeze coming from, she's asking. The early signs I always look for in Sabatini is I think she's likely to play well if she looks brisk and positive and a bit adventurous.
Happy-footed.
As for Graf, I think she's vulnerable only when she gets edgy if she can't hit a winner within about 4 shots. One game all. Now, your mathematical analysis, Miss Potter, please.
Gabby needs to pin Steffi in the backhand corner, but not for too long, because the back around forehand of Graf is going to damage Gabby, if she waits 1 shot too long on it. But if she pins properly and then attacks, she's in good shape. That's got to go back down the line, in my opinion, even if you're going to face down another Graf winner inverse cross court.
Time they played each other in professional tennis. Graf has lost to Sabatini only 11 times in that, so the score is 28-11.
Well, it was a good first serve that set up that forehand which stretched Gabby. First serves are tough to break Graf on, obviously.
Oh, only just. Graf 2-1 first set. For a spell, this was one of the very good rivalries at the top of the women's game, and then Sabatini, well, she seemed to go stale. Her tennis became joyless. Became a labour. She played without inspiration.
Thank you. Seats, please. Second serve's a bit better now.
was a nice free swing of the racket from Sabatini. Played the point quite beautifully, but that's always going to be her problem. She doesn't have the big shot suddenly to dominate a point with authority. Graf's got that, showed it there.
Certainly does have the speed of foot with which to hit powerfully all the time. Gabby not quite as pinpoint as I think she'll be later in the match, even in these windy conditions. Well, it's that cross-court quality to the approach shot that set up the winning forehand pass for Steffi. If Gabby had gone down the line, it might have made more impression. Gabby is pinning Steffi in the backhand corner nicely, but I don't feel she's taking advantage of it. Neither her backhand down the line drive is really in full throttle yet, nor when she's on the run to the forehand is she getting herself out of trouble effectively yet. I just feel that that's the one shot that Gabby can consistently beat Steffi with, her heavy topspin to the Graf slice backhand.
Well, you don't really expect Sabatini to play that one much, because that's the standard anti-Graf ploy. But for players usually who go in, and she doesn't normally, so that gets her 10 out of 10.
Well, here's the Houdini backhand.
Well, look how deep they're hitting the ball. That's a very good game for Sabatini, 15-40.
Yeah. Yeah, and 2 positive points from her, really, to save those break points. Juan Nunez and Dickie Dell, Donald Dell's brother, in the Sabatini camp. I honestly feel Gabriela could move her feet a little more and actually drive that return as an approach return. Doesn't do it often. Good conviction. Maybe that'll discombobulate Graf. And this is the antidote to being toyed around at the baseline with. Just to take away Gabriela's time by attacking the net. Beautifully played.
$40-50.
There's the Graf camp. Her coach Heinz Guntot on the left. Yeah, that's good. Good scrambling. Good defensive play.
One of the best defensive players in the business, Gabriela, by virtue of her strong arms.
Graf wants to get on with it. This is normal. There's a young lady in a hurry. Sabatini, a little bit more manana about her, so she just wants to not be looking every now and again. Sabatini playing well, but that's going to be the difficulty, I think, above all, that she's going to have to solve, how to break Graf's serve. Graf 3-2 first set.
It's not the right place for them. I'm a dirt digger too, Jerry.
Barbara doesn't like me to call that the gods, because she doesn't think those of us in the fourth estate are worthy of sitting in a place called the gods. I get her point. Two coaches, it seems to me, have briefly, well, more than briefly, have revived Sabatini's interest in the game. First of all, Carlos Comar, and now her present coach, Juan Nunez. They've both separately done a good job.
I knew a slow-mo replay was going to come for this Sabatini. That wasn't very well hit. I mean, not as well hit as she can.
Well, that had real beef in it. It's not a very nice thing to say about a lady, I suppose.
Well, she's prime grade A Argentine.
Yeah,
so.
and also she's got a farm, hasn't she? A ranch there. We can say that had beef in it.
Well, that was a brain cramp on Gabby's part, going to Steffi's forehand so unnecessarily. Not at all necessary. But very good first serve percentage, 82. That's climbed from 60 after the first game of Gabby's.
Key point coming up, 2-3-30 all first set.
14-30.
taking off a little pace on that serve, opting to get it in play. Not a bad play.
Apart from Sellers, I always felt that Sabatini and Sanchez are the two women who hit the ball best from deep and wide defensive positions, which is why Graf has to hit sometimes 3, 4, 5 good shots, forehands too, before she can dominate a point, and why she gets frustrated.
That's so right, Jerry. But on the previous point, I felt Gabby was hitting the ball too well, because she almost was playing feel-good tennis, and that's a danger zone against somebody so fast as Steffi. Listen to this. Really appreciated the quality of this play, and it's been so just all the way through this year's US Open. The women's matches have been excellent, far, far better than usual. It may be closing in on the men. I've not hit that actual shot in my 10-year career, so I have a lot of respect for those eyes. Third game point.
I think the customers think she's been a bit unlucky with one thing and another in this game, and I think she has too.
This game is growing in importance, isn't it?
Graf then nips across and gets a towel, so there's a little bit of one-upmanship going on out here. Why not? Adds even more spice. But yes, this is the first pitch battle of the match. Third deuce. 2-3 Sabatini.
Well, it's not a wimpy double fault, at least. The slice serve that Gabby now hits on her second serve, just a little too strong.
Outside edge, I suppose, but it was her time, wasn't it?
Yes, considering all the let chords at net, too. Nice front foot forehand.
Sabatini's fourth game point. And she gets it. That's the reward for perseverance and for keeping her nerve. It's a very good game indeed for her to win, because if it had tilted there, you could see Graf starting to swamp her.
Yeah, it's a game about confidence, really. Gabby needing much more confidence building in this match in order to come through.
Well, really, Sabatini has an effrontery. That's absolutely not in the strategy that she's played a career on.
You'll chip and charge, but she has the eyes and the hands 9 out of 10 times to hold up at the net.
Just hope she isn't discouraged when she doesn't get the point.